Hey guys, I just wanted to take a few minutes to go over some new information that was just released this evening about the AP exam. You can either watch this right now, or you can hold off on watching this until maybe a week or so before the AP exams. So this is specific to the AP Econ exam, although about 99% of this will cover other exams that you're taking if you're taking other AP exams. So the first and most important thing to tell you is that you're going to need an AP exam e-ticket. This is going to be sent to your email that you have registered with the College Board. You're going to get this 2 days before the exam test date. This e-ticket is just for you. It's not to be used by anybody else. There's no reason for you to share it with anybody else because it will not work for anybody else. In highlight at the bottom, you'll see there it says make sure to save your May e-ticket email in case you need to request a makeup exam. So the email that you get before the AP exam, you'll want to click on the e-ticket in that 30 minutes prior to your scheduled exam time. But don't delete that email, because if something goes wrong, it'll be that email that you're going to use to help you request an alternate exam date. Here are some things you can expect on this year's exams. The College Board says it will not be any more difficult to earn a 3, 4, or 5 than it was in past years. The AP exams are not graded on a curve. That means you're not competing against other students. There is essentially a score that a performance level, you could say, that you need to achieve in order to get a 3, 4, or 5. And finally, it's not necessary that you complete every single part of every single question. In an effort to try to get these questions to be as rigorous as possible to really differentiate between the 5s, the 4s, and the 3s, there may be situations here where the questions have too many parts for you to be able to answer in the allotted time that you have. So really just focus on answering what you know, answer as much as you can, but don't stress if you don't get every single thing answered. There are 3 different ways you can answer these questions. Option number 1 is the copy and paste method. With this, it's best to be using a laptop or a desktop computer. The idea here is that you would have some sort of a writing document open like Google Docs or Microsoft Word, and you would type your answers in that. You would also type the AP ID and your initials at the top of your response there. Then when there's 5 minutes remaining on the scheduled question, you would copy and paste what you had typed in that box or in that program or app, and you would copy and paste that into the space on the web browser where you're taking your exam. If you're going to go with this method, then you'd want to have 2 windows open on your desktop. One would have a browser in it, and I would recommend that you use Chrome, or you could use Safari or Firefox or Edge. Just make sure, as we'll talk about in just a moment, that you have your browsers fully updated to the latest versions. You'd also want to make sure that the timer is in display. Make sure that you don't put windows on top of one another where you cover up the timer. In the second window is where you'd have the program that you'd be typing into, Google Docs or Microsoft or whatever that would be. Option number 2 is where you attach a document and then click submit. So here you'd be typing into a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word type program, and then you would save that file as a doc file or a PDF file or some such file. You would also include, again, your AP ID and your initials at the top of the response. And when the timer has 5 minutes remaining, you would attach your response and click submit. So on the browser, on the AP website where you're taking your exam, there's going to be a place where you'll be able to essentially attach and upload a file. So that is a second option. So you can cut and paste is option 1, or you can attach a file is option number 2. If you have, with the econ exams, there's 2 separate questions, so therefore you're going to have 2 separate attachments. So when you move on to question number 2, you're going to want to open up a new doc and start from scratch. Here you're also going to need side-by-side windows, one with your browser open where you can see the timer, and a second one with the Google Doc or the Microsoft Word where you're typing your answers. A third option is if you're going to handwrite your answers. Here, you would use essentially a piece of paper. It could be lined or not. You definitely need to write with a dark pen or a dark pencil. The idea here, of course, is that we need to be able to read your answers. You'd write your AP ID and initials and the page number at the top of each page if you use more than one page, probably not in econ, but maybe in some of your other classes where you have to write long form. Make sure that your timer with 5 minutes to go, that you can see it. You're going to then take a photo. You're going to snap a picture in vertical orientation, not landscape. So make sure that you're holding your phone in this format. You're definitely not going to want to take it like this. And then you're going to have to take that picture that you've taken, which should be in a photo type of format, JPEG or something like that. And you're going to have to attach that file. That means you're going to have to get that file uploaded to a browser, either on your device, on your phone, or you could perhaps email it to your desktop. Here you're going to need a smartphone or a tablet type of computer, obviously, to take the picture. And you can make sure that you can see the timer on the browser. So the idea here probably is that you're going to be logging in on your handheld device to the AP College Board website, and then you would handwrite out your answers. You would snap a picture of it here, and then you would upload, or you'd attach actually that JPEG and upload the JPEG or the picture file. If something were to go awry, you can request a makeup exam. You have 2 days after the original exam date, 48 hours to complete that, and you can read the details right here, so you can pause and take a look through that. But the information on how to do this, you'll be able to find at the College Board. So if something goes wrong during the exam, don't just let it go. Please make sure that you request that retake. And if you have any questions with that, reach out to me immediately after you complete your exam. Before the exam date, and really right away, basically as soon as you're done watching this video, make sure that you go to the College Board website, myap.collegeboard.org. Make sure that your email address is the appropriate one so that you'll get the e-ticket that is being sent to you. And just double check all that. If for some reason you can't receive emails from the College Board, they just constantly go to spam or they get blocked or something like that, it's still okay. You can see here that your e-ticket is going to be available on the College Board's myap.collegeboard.org website on the day of the exam. So you can even log in there and access your e-ticket, so you don't necessarily have to get the email. Here are some tips for making sure that technologically you're set to go. Check your device, choose your device, but check to make sure that it's working. Make sure that you have all the appropriate devices. Make sure that you have a browser that's approved. So basically Chrome, Firefox, Edge, or Safari. You do not need to use the College Board's lockdown browser for this. I don't know if anybody here uses the Grammarly plugin on the computer, but you have to remove that. The College Board has mentioned that to me many times. So that has to be removed from the browser as a plugin or an extension. So no Grammarly. Of course, there's no graphing on the AP exam. That being said, you're going to want to have some paper nearby to draw some graphs because they'll probably help you with your answers. As far as the browser, as I mentioned, make sure that you're using a preferred browser or at least an approved browser. Chrome is the one that they recommend. Make sure that everything is updated. Do not work in Internet Explorer. If anybody here is doing that, you should probably change that habit anyways, but don't do that. Make sure that you have the latest updates. Again, make sure that you have the latest updates to your browser. And then finally, you're supposed to disable any of the browser plugins or extensions just to make sure that nothing blocks you. Grammarly, again, in particular, make sure that is turned off. You may also I might recommend that you turn off any sort of ad blockers if you have the ability to do that. I think that's automatically installed on the Chromebooks through Germantown High School. It probably won't be a problem, but if you have the ability to turn off any ad blockers, I would turn those off. If you're going to be typing, if you think you're going to type out your answers, which many of you I think will, just make sure that you have some sort of way to do that. So a Google Doc or Microsoft Word or Notes. Turn off, make sure autosave is turned on. That should be already on by default, but double check that. Make sure that you know how to save a file and that you know where the file is saved when you save it, so you don't end up losing it somewhere on your hard drive and you cannot locate it. By the way, there will be an opportunity for you to practice submitting to the College Board sometime after May 5th, I believe it is. I'll alert you to that when we get to that point. You're going to be handwriting. Make sure you're using white paper, standard regular size. Make sure you use a dark pencil or a pen. The most pages you can attach is 5. You won't need more than 5 in econ, that's certainly for sure. Prepare your pages ahead of time. You could write your AP ID and your initials and the page number at the top of each page. I would recommend doing that, save you some time. Make sure you don't forget it in the stress of the test day. On exam day, here are some things that you will need. No matter what exam you are taking, you're going to need that e-ticket for sure. You're going to need to complete the exam day checklist, including your AP ID. That will come to you shortly. Make sure you have a device that's working. Make sure that your browser is up and running. Make sure that if you need any assistive technology or devices, that is set up. If you're going to be typing your answers out, make sure you have a way to do that. So a Word, Microsoft Word or Google Docs. You are allowed to use class notes. You can use study guides, textbooks, any other printed resources, assignments, all that stuff. So we're going to work on organizing that together, but you could certainly begin to pull that information together to help yourself out. For micro and macro in particular, it's recommended that you have scratch paper for drawing graphs, and you are allowed to use a calculator. They've changed that requirement because of the new format. Some advice about the optional resources. Of course, you can use class notes, you can use textbooks and things like this. You can use calculators, as I mentioned. Shared study notes must be downloaded to each student's device to prevent collaboration violations. In other words, we will probably, over the next few weeks, work on Google Docs in a shared format, creating some study guides for each other. But you're going to have to make a copy of that and or download that. Actually, just download that to your device so that you are not on a browser tab in Google Docs and collaborating with another student, whether it's on purpose or inadvertently. There can't be any communication between you and other students while you're taking this exam. So make sure that your study guide is your study guide on test day. Essentially, when it comes to internet searching, they're saying that this will be a waste of time and it puts you at risk of an exam violation. So I'm just going to read this straight out. The more time you spend searching the web, the less time you spend answering exam questions. Internet-based facts, research, and opinions are not relevant to the AP exam and will not raise your score. Copying from websites or social media or online forums is considered plagiarism and will be detected and scores will be canceled. So bottom line here is make sure that you are doing your own work. You can certainly use notes, you can use study guides, but time and time again, the College Board has told us that searching the internet will not help you and it will waste your time, and that the questions are designed in such a way that internet searches will not help you. On exam day, for the econ exams where you have 2 questions, here's the way that you should play things out. The exams begin at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So at 12:30, 30 minutes before the exam, you should check in online using that e-ticket to get logged in. You complete your identity information, some things you'll be typing in there, and then simply wait for the exam to begin automatically. First exam, you'll have 25 minutes to complete it. You'll read the question, develop your responses. You'll then have 5 minutes to submit your responses, at which point you can take a deep breath and wait for question number 2. Timer will reset automatically. Question 2 will appear. You'll read it. You'll develop your response over 20 minutes, and then you will have 5 minutes to submit it, at which point the exam is done. So it'll move you along pretty quickly. Basically, you'll be done in less than an hour. Exam security, make sure that all your answers are on your own. You may not provide or receive any aid of any kind from another person. To identify students attempting to receive help through the web, a phone, or social media, sophisticated detection technologies and processes will be applied. Most techniques will remain confidential to maximize their effectiveness. We'll be monitoring social media and discussion sites to detect and disrupt cheating. So I would really tell you that stay off Twitter, stay off Instagram during that hour that you're taking the exam. Just really put it away. If you're not using your phone to take a picture of your answers, I would strongly recommend that you literally just keep your phone outside of the room. Psychologically, having that phone next to you is a distraction. Part of your brain is going to be thinking about wanting to check it, especially for those of you who are heavy phone users. So putting it out of the room will reduce your mental distractions. Attempting to cheat will be detected immediately during testing or will be identified in June and July simultaneously with exam scoring. In addition to students' exams, your exams will be scanned by plagiarism software as well as by teachers. Also a note, I'll be receiving your exams shortly after you finish them. They'll send copies to all of your AP teachers. This is unique this year. In the past, we did not get copies of your exams until many, many months later. One of the reasons they're doing that is they'd like the assistance of teachers to be able to look at the exams and see if they note any sort of suspicious sort of activity where answers are identical or where a student basically answers a question in a way that doesn't seem like it's that student's work. Consequences for cheating can be severe. The college admissions offices where you are applying will be notified of the cheating, and of course your exam scores would be canceled. Checking into the exam. So 30 minutes before the start of the exam, you check in by clicking on the e-ticket. You'll spend a few minutes passing through various security filters to identify who you are. A timer will show you how much time remains until the beginning of the exam. And once the exam starts, the first exam question will appear automatically. So do not refresh your browser. Just let things sit, and they should automatically move forward. So if you refresh your browser, that could mess things up. When you're answering the questions, the question will be divided into parts labeled in alphabetical order, part A, part B, part C, and so on. When you're writing out your answers or typing out your answers, use those letters to help you organize your responses. Also helps you make sure that you don't accidentally skip any part. As an experienced reader of exams, I can tell you that some students string all their answers together. Don't do that. Put some spaces between your answers. So part A, write out your answer, skip a line or two. Part B, write your answer. Makes it a lot easier to score, less of a chance that one of the scorers who's reading quickly doesn't read past one of your answers that you intended to be there. I've seen it where students have put A, an answer, and then right next to it, B, answer, C, answer, next line, D, answer, and it's all strung together in one big paragraph, and it's very, very difficult to read. Again, Grammarly, make sure you disable it if that's on your browser. You may print the test questions and annotate them if you would like. However, you are not allowed to use any annotation software to assist you with that. Exams with more than one question, like Econ, you will not be able to move on to the second question until the time for the first question has fully elapsed. So if you finish early and you get things uploaded and turned in, just sit back and wait for the next question to begin. Managing your time. This is going to probably cause some stress for some of you, so this is something really to think about. During the exam, there will be a timer at the bottom of the screen. It shows how much time is remaining. Be sure to keep that timer visible because you do not want to have the time run out before you submit it. 5 minutes before time is up, the timer turns red. You'll see a pop-up reminding you to submit your response. Stop where you are, copy and paste or attach your work, then click submit. You can still earn a 5 even if you don't finish a response. If you don't submit your response on time, you won't get any credit for it. So essentially, as I understand it, the time that you have, the 25 minutes you have for question number 1, and then the 5 minutes you have to submit it, really they're giving you 30 minutes. And they're strongly suggesting that you use the last 5 minutes to submit your work. If you are finishing up your answer, there's 24 minutes and 55 seconds in, and you're thinking, boy, I've got another 30 seconds of work to write down here. You can do that. I believe. The time left to submit your work will start counting down in red, as you can see on the screen here. And you're just starting to kind of get close to danger zone, because if something takes time in your submission, you don't want it to time out. So please don't wait until you're down to a minute left to submit your work. It's just cutting it too close. 5 minutes might be more than you need, but 1 minute certainly could be cutting it a little close. Losing track of time is not a acceptable reason for taking the alternate exam. So if you simply say, I ran out of time, they're not going to approve a second exam. When you submit your response, it's a two-step process. You're going to attach or paste your response, and then you're going to click submit. So you can see here on the right-hand side, it's the best place to look here. You have the opportunity to upload if you're going to attach a text file, and then you're going to first browse for it, find it, and then you're going to click submit. If it's photographs, maybe you've handwritten something, you're going to upload it, and then you're going to click submit. And then if it's a paste your work, this is the box where you're going to paste your work right here. This kid must be taking the Latin exam. And then submit. Don't click clear your field. You're going to lose everything that's in there. Okay. Could anything go wrong? Well, of course. You accidentally close out your browser, or your device crashes, or you temporarily lose internet access. You can, they say, quickly click your exam e-ticket again and return to the exam. Continue the exam, and if you feel at the end of the exam that the disruption negatively impacted you, you can request a makeup exam. Do not refresh your browser or hit the back arrow. Do not do that. Also, there is no reason to call customer service. It's not open at this time. Your exam scores will be read by professional college professors and AP teachers, and will ultimately score on a 1 to 5 scale. To accommodate the extended scoring schedule, which requires the exams to be scored online at the readers' homes, AP scores will be released to AP students about 1 week later than usual. This will be around July 15th that you'll get your AP exams. So you do get one free score send, meaning you can send off your score to one college for free. So if you happen to know what that college is, go ahead and choose that. You can also report to additional schools for a fee. Certainly, if you have any questions, you can reach out and ask me, but those are all the details. If I went too fast for you, please go back, take a look, pause on the screen, and jot some notes down. But again, number one thing you should be doing right now is double check that all of your contact information is up to date on the College Board website. All right, thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.